I think I'm unmuted. Hi, friends. Good morning. It is good to be among you. You're all, can you all see this big screen? The big screen. It is, you have this beautiful building and it just is remarkable. I am going to begin with some opening words, and I will rekindle our chalice, for even my presentation is holy work in this congregation. I will kindle the chalice with the words of the Reverend Angela Herrera, who serves our Albuquerque congregation. Don't leave your broken heart at the door. Bring it to the altar of life. Don't leave your anger behind. It has high standards, and the world needs vision. Bring them with you, and your joy and your passion. Bring your loving and your courage and your conviction. Bring your need for healing and your power to heal. There is work to do, and you have all that you need to do it right here in this room. So thank you all. I am Rachel Maxwell, your friendly consultant. I use she, her, or they, them pronouns, and I hail from Edmonds, Washington, north of Seattle, on the beautiful Salish Sea. It is the land of the Coast Salish peoples who use the area where I live as a summer and springtime resource gathering place. The Snohomish, the Skykomish, and the Stillaguamish peoples still live all around me and serve to teach and to help us all understand how to be in full relationship with each other and the world. I am part of Stewardship for Us, which is a group of consultants that serve congregations, Unitarian Universalist congregations all across the country. We were sort of short an East Coast person, which is why I came all the way over, but I feel so lucky. I've been a UU for about 30 years. I found the church, the denomination in my 30s, and I am an active lay leader at the Edmonds Unitarian Universalist congregation. I have a background in community finance and hold an MBA in sustainable systems. And my life's work is to help move money and capital flows toward real value, because money is only a tool we have, only one of our tools to create real value in this world. So I conducted a vision weekend. This is sort of the end of this vision weekend process, but you are just beginning your collective visioning process. The weekend began early for me when I received materials from you and I reviewed financial things, governance things, history things, all kinds of stuff about you before I got here. And then yesterday, before the vision workshop, I held meetings with a variety of groups. On Friday, I met with your ministry team, your staff, and your board. And then we held the workshop together, and then I went home last night and I made this presentation. So I will follow this presentation when I will send resources based inside of the recommendations that I make as a result of the presentation. Everything we do is grounded in mission, and this was a vision workshop. And sometimes I help congregations create missions and visions together. And I was really impressed with the fact that when I sort of poked at the board about your mission, do you really love this mission? Like, is it good? Is it good? Like, people got up, they stood up, and they recited it for me. So that's it. That's a holding mission at the center is so important. I cannot even overemphasize that. So your mission at South Church, we nurture spiritual growth through worship, learning, and community. We celebrate the worth and dignity of all people. And we Amen. So I'm a numbers person. I love numbers. I like talking about money. I think it is not something to be afraid of talking about. I think that's a really important lesson for you all. Just that's going to be part of my world, is to be bringing the money into the light. So who are you? Last count, you had around 380 to 400 members. You had, in this most recent ABC, you had 216 pledges. Your average pledge is $2,597, and your median pledge is $1,285. So the average is when you add them all up together and you divide by the number of pledges, and the median is when you stack them all up by size and you find the middle one. So I think that a median pledge size is a better indicator for a congregation of kind of how's it going. Just to point that out. You had a pledge total of $563,583, and budgeted expenses, which somehow escaped me last night, I believe are pretty close. They're between $700,000 and $800,000. That you're pushing $800,000. You have about $350,000 in reserves, sort of cash reserves, some of which are designated and others are not. And you have about $150,000 in other income of various sorts. That includes rental income. It includes the fundraiser income that you have. It includes other donations, plate sharing income, those kinds of things. Your endowment fund is at about $1 million. So that's just information. And as members, it's good to have it. They're always delightful things. And when I got your building tour, I did not get to see this room. So I was like poking around during the time when you all were working during the workshop, and I went into the back behind downstairs, and there's this gorgeous, magical room. Anyway. Okay, back to the numbers. Here are your pledges. So this is called a quartile analysis, and what that means is that when we stack up all the pledges by size, and let's say the largest pledge is at the top and the smallest pledge is at the bottom, then the first quartile are the pledges that make up the first quarter of the pledging. So if you have $563,000 in pledges, the first quarter of those is about the first 140, the top pledges adding up to about 141,000. Sort of understand that? So there are 8 households that make up that first quartile, which is about 4% of your pledging households. And then 18 make up the second quartile, and 40 make up the third quartile, and 150 make up the bottom quartile. So those are the pledges that are up to $2,500. And so this tells you what size pledges are inside those quartiles also. So that's just another thing to know. There is nothing so far about this information that I have anything special to share with you. It's neither alarming nor exciting. I'm sorry. The pledge in the 80th percentile is often called the amount that a household pledges when it's been around. It has high commitment to the congregation and is kind of maybe more or less average around capacity, meaning the amount that the household is able to give. So your financial capacity. So often pledging is based on a combination of those two factors: your capacity, how much money do you have to spare and to give, and your commitment. How much do you care about this place? But totally great to take a picture of things. My hope is that this will be distributed to the whole congregation. So this is, the UUA keeps track of you. You send them data every single year, and this is the data from 2008 to 2024. It's actually the data that was submitted in early 24, so that where it says 2024 is probably your 2023 numbers, because also things are confusing about data. But what does this show? This shows that your pledging income and your operating expenses have been kind of going up, but nothing interesting, nothing alarming, nothing upsetting here. So this is the blue line at the top are the membership numbers that you submitted to the UUA. The red line is the giving households numbers. For some reason, there was not a number there in 2020 for the 2020 data. And then the bottom yellow line is the number of people enrolled in religious education. Nice to see the RE number going up. So again, your giving households, you might remember this year was 217, and that's a big drop. But we talked about that in the stewardship or the ABC group team yesterday, and I'm not alarmed. You need to make some changes, work on your conversations, but nothing real alarming. So then I compared you to the data from other congregations. So I took all 215 congregations in the New England states that reported, and you are the 6th largest, interestingly, in membership and pledging households both. In New England. And weirdly, you have the 66th highest average pledge. I looked at that again and again. I was like, because your average pledge is not low. It's not high. And it's okay. It's all okay. Don't worry about that. I don't know what's going on, except what that says to me is chances are there's more capacity in this congregation than is being realized in giving. You have the 7th in RE enrollment, the 18th highest annual operating expenditures, and the 5th highest total pledge income. So what all of that says to me is you're doing okay. You're sort of right where you ought to be, except that you probably have more capacity to give. I think maybe New England must have really strong average giving. So of the 51 congregations across the UUA, so now I'm comparing you to congregations that have more or less the same number of giving households, pledging households. You were 18th, you should be more or less in the middle there, and then you were 21st in membership size and 26th in the highest average annual pledge, again a little sort of below, but and 18th in RE enrollment, like 23rd in largest annual operating expenditures. There's really nothing for me to tell you about this except to say, I did this data analysis and it came out and here it is, but there's nothing really alarming or exciting here. So what do I think about your finances? Could be worse, could be better. I really think you need to build your culture of generosity because it goes hand in hand with this one. And I think, you know, I grew up in New England. I get it. Nobody likes to talk about how much money they have. I understand that. That's okay. You don't have to like share really how much you have, but it shouldn't be like hidden because money matters as the tool we can use to, one of them, which is vital to doing things like hiring people to replace your windows, and having a fabulous staff. Did I mention that you have a fabulous staff? Oh my God. You know, I met with your staff, and that group of people is joyful, and wonderful, doing fabulous things, has really interesting ideas, and they are so connected and committed to you. This shared ministry thing and the whole associates thing, beautiful. You are doing a beautiful, beautiful job. Being ministry together. That is really going to be vital to our world and our lives. So I want you to build your culture of generosity. Walk around with that sign. You know, it's ready to grow and blossom. You provide very fertile soil. I think it was Kirsten who mentioned that there's a way in which you've been tilling the soil for a while. I can't remember exactly how she beautifully put it, but the soil is ready. Time to roll into generosity, and I'll teach you more about that in a moment. I'd like you to develop more transparency, more engagement around your budgeting and capital needs without having a sense of alarm. So you probably already do a fair amount of that, but I want you to pull back on the alarm. You know, there's enough to be afraid of in this world. You're going to be okay. So look at your facilities needs and look them in the eye. People are very concerned about like sort of making plans about it because it looks so daunting around what it is that is needed. It scares people. Don't worry, you're gonna be all right. Look it in the eye, make a plan. You will be able to do this. Your vision is gonna help you make that plan, and it's gonna help you be able to get there, money and all. So I thought maybe you might wanna build a separate fund to nurture and maintain these historic buildings that you own. It's interesting to me that your endowment is not huge for such an old congregation. So that's just, I was like, why? But now is your chance. And maybe it's because it's not exciting to you. You are doers. My heavenly days. It is so beautiful to be among you. It just gives me hope for this world. So, but endowment matters. And legacy, so legacy giving for those of us in the boomer generation, there is going to be the biggest transfer of wealth ever as we, I'm sorry to say, die. And we need to be funding our congregations with those legacy dollars. That's really important because the young people coming up are saddled with debt like we never even understood could exist when we were their age. So we need to create funds and funding for our congregations. And you have a sort of special thing because you have this way long, way wonderful history and this spectacular building. So you're good. Like I wrote, you are okay. That was because I was like, people were worried. Their voices were in my head at that moment. You are wonderful. You are like way more than okay. So generosity is one of our new shared values, as you learned on April 20th. And I like the full-on words about generosity. We cultivate a spirit of gratitude and hope. We covenant to freely and compassionately share our faith. Got to go do that, friends. Presence and resources. Our generosity connects us to one another in relationships of interdependence and mutuality. So our shared values also include equity, which also mentions money. We declare that every person has the right to flourish with inherent dignity and worthiness. We covenant to use our time, wisdom, attention, and money to build and sustain fully accessible and inclusive communities. So I worked with a couple of ministers on the West Coast, the Reverend Tandy Rogers and the Reverend Jan Christian, who put together these sort of 3 pillars of a generosity culture. So this is what I'm inviting you into, is a generosity culture, because I think, as Kirsten said, this is fertile soil. You are ready for this. In fact, you already have some of this culture. So a generosity culture is when we have moved beyond shame and blame and have learned to talk about money in ways that are life-affirming and nurture generosity. We know that conflict is part of building and sustaining a beloved community. And we have ways to engage it and let it deepen us and to move forward together. We have a shared sense of purpose and mission that nurtures generosity and imbues all we do. And I think you can see yourselves in a lot of that. I could certainly see a lot of that here. Oh, another moment. There was like this pile, I guess it's over there, but I thought, oh, how sweet. There are lemon drops for the people who sing. Anyway, you all did a little survey online. This is just the results of that survey. You identified the top strengths. You had 89 respondents. Good. So more than 20% of your congregation, which is what I like to look for. 55% of the people identified the people and the community and the ministry team and staff, those 2 separate things, as your greatest strengths, and 53% said your Sunday services were your greatest strength. And then way next, but not to give them short shrift, were the children and youth programming and the lay leadership and volunteering. You thought your top challenges were much harder to identify. And I certainly heard that over the course of the weekend, that there are all kinds of challenges that are like pressing on you right now. You want to have more members, you want to have more funding, you want to do more in the community, you want more volunteers, you need to manage some of the facilities, you got to get out there in the streets. And your priorities were service. I thought it was pretty clear your priorities, actually, because service in the wider community and social justice work were both at the top. And then membership, recruiting, retention, annual funding and finances, and increasing your volunteer base and lay leadership. And you should just know that I put all of the things that were at 25% or over of the people who responded on these. The public shower program is fabulous. So I also asked if a capital campaign was held to address major maintenance needs and desired improvements for your facilities, and pledges could be paid over a 3-year period, would you contribute? And basically you said yes. So then we had the workshop, yay! And this is probably what you're really looking for, and I can't believe I'm like hopelessly not doing 30 minutes here. So 65 people were there, which is just spectacular, very engaged. They were understanding what is a mission and what is a vision and creating visions. And I'm going to sort of leave this and not talk about it right now. What is a vision? What is a mission? And they did what Kirsten and Reverend Ellen talked about. I love this congregation because, and here are some of the samples we care about and for one another in the world we live in. It is super welcoming. The people are nice, kind, loving, creative, adventurous, thoughtful, and a little bit of a pain at times. People think I am more capable than I think I am. I thought that was beautiful. Heart, vulnerability, commitment. These were so beautiful to read, and I have created the full list, and I'll give that to your folks. And then I feel most alive, committed, and engaged when I had to put in the one that says pledged more, when I pledged more. But there are so many here. When I was a worship associate, when I shared our actions for social justice, when I agreed, here's another one for Rachel, to chair the Every Member Canvas. It is joyful to do stewardship work. When I serve and listen deeply. And then the church makes news, and I want to point out that I also put up here, you'll see it, it's in actually small print in the middle, but the South Church celebrates the opening of a UU values-based elementary program. And I just want to lift up, someone pointed out that is politically complicated right now, and we don't want the conversation to move away from the radical importance of our public education. So I just want to hold that space at the same time. Maybe go for South Church's new daycare center offers affordable option for Seacoast parents. I liked this one because it was so headliney. They found a place to belong. I can imagine like a picture of the people. South Church doubles membership as community is inspired by radical, inclusive love. Woohoo! And then the ringing the bell, which I just want to hear. Like when would someone text me when that actually happens? So then people put together these draft vision statements, and I really shouldn't read all of them to you. But I have to read some, and I'm randomly choosing because they are all so beautiful. Working together in loving, supportive community, collaborative decision-making, and respectful discourse, we facilitate the transfer of wisdom throughout generations. I'm like, yeah. This is more of the same one, acting with intentional imagination, inspired creation, expression, and unextinguishable joy, we challenge our world to the highest and best of justice, love, and respect. At South Church, we work to inspire a diverse community, cultivating kindness, justice, and love through learning, reconciliation, wonder, and joy. You are a joyful people. That's just a beautiful thing. You know, not every congregation is like this. And I just want you to hold that you have something special here. And I am really, really, really honored and thrilled to have been able to be among you for this weekend. Another vision, a world rooted in love, evolving justice, interconnection, and lasting abundance. And so related. I was like, were these people in the same, like looking at each other? Interconnected community and world where all are valued, loved, and have the resources to thrive. Every person actively engaged in radical justice and inclusive love that radiates out. And then there was like a bonus from the workshop. They suggested a t-shirt slogan, so I took the liberty of, it's a bad design, I have to admit, but still, to have the radical justice, inclusive love. Just imagine if you like showed up at all the events in those t-shirts. It should also say South Church Portsmouth on it. This was another statement that was made during the course of things. I'm thinking about how much fluidity granite can contain. You in the granite church. So my recommendations to you are to shine your light. Share about yourselves. There are ways to do this. Like, it came up kind of again and again in the visioning thing. People wanted to market. You know, we should have more social media, blah, blah, blah. We should have more of this. We should have more of that. I worked with a congregation that was feeling huge scarcity financially and people-wise and stuff, and they were like, what do we do? What can we do now? We did a little workshop on that, and they were like, okay, let's information bomb all the bathrooms in the public-ish places in town. A little just make copies of that time, the 7 principles, and put our name on it and stick it on the walls everywhere where we can for free. Just a thought. I want you to complete your vision creation process, so I would like you all to participate in the circles, the vision circles, and you can sign up. I believe there's a sign-up sheet here somewhere. Alyssa maybe has it. And that's a really important piece. So it's another opportunity for you to listen to each other. You will have essentially a facilitated listening circle where you respond to prompts that are visioning prompts. And it'll be fun, maybe not as fun as the workshop. No. Anyway. And then more fun. Yeah, exactly. It'll actually be more intimate in a certain kind of way. So in that way, it is more fun. You will get to know each other in those circles, and that's a really important piece of creating shared vision, is hearing each other and knowing each other. And then you'll hone your vision statement, so there'll be even more possibility for weighing in along that road, which I have not outlined perfectly in this presentation, but that'll be part of my supplemental materials. Develop a set of strategic priorities. That'll be what you can do after the visioning circle. So that's where you're going to have the opportunity to express things that will allow for the team to develop some strategic priorities and make a 5-year strategic financial plan. This is where the rubber really hits the road, is no. I love spreadsheets, so I'm going to recommend that you make a spreadsheet, which is a 5-year strategic financial plan. So you take your strategy and you make it real in dollars on a spreadsheet. And that would include working toward a balanced budget, which takes a while. Create a holistic plan for all your facilities based on all that work that you do, the vision, the mission, and the priorities you set. And I'd like you to create a money ministry, sort of to develop your generosity through sharing stories and learning more about the elements of good stewardship. And I have to say, you are really an unusually wonderful congregation, and I just want you to embrace that, because you make it what it is. You have a remarkable depth and breadth of leadership. You might feel like gosh, we can't get volunteers. It's just because you're doing so much. And you're enlivened by this shared ministry. It's been really beautiful to see that you embrace this holistic concept of being ministry together. And I saw you bring your joy and your sorrows together. You can be open with each other. And that's a really wonderful thing. And from having grown up in New England, I think it's sort of a rare bird in New England. So I would hold on to that. You really love each other. Like, you might not say, I love you, but you love each other, and that is so important. So I'm going to close with these words, which are the words of the Reverend Tandy Rogers. It's a prayer of generosity. Spirit of life, you who pulse in every act of kindness, every offering of time, care, or coin, remind us that generosity is not just a good idea, but a holy practice. In a world that tells us to clutch and compete, let us instead open our hands. Let us remember that we belong to one another, not as rivals or as resources, but as kin. May our giving be rooted not in guilt or obligation, but in trust. Trust in abundance. Trust in community. Trust that what we offer will ripple outward in ways we may never see. Make us brave in our generosity. Let us give as if the world depended on it, because in some small, sacred way, it does. And let our giving sing of a truth deeper than scarcity, that love is real and we are enough. Amen. May we make it so. So I want to acknowledge that I took way too much time to make that presentation. And if people are hurrying off to do something, they are welcome to, but I will stay here and answer questions. Yeah, no one will insult me by leaving when I have taken more than 15 minutes extra. But I would love to have questions. Anyone have any questions? I see one over there. I think there's a mic right right back here. We need to mic it so the folks who listen later.
Hi, thank you. First of all, I wanted to just say thank you. I mean, that was an amazing presentation, and I thought it was terrific, and I think we all ought to give her a real...
Oh, thank you.
One of the things that happened in the workshop yesterday was that we made suggestions about how to implement the vision, right? And I was hoping that those were going to be distributed at some point, right? I
Yes.
was especially fond myself of contra dancing, so I was hoping that was going to make the list.
Yes, I'm so sorry. They have been collected and they are going to be included. So that I apologize for that I didn't add them in here. Yes. And what we'll do is make sure that people know, and I think you're going to consider some kind of process to have everyone engage in the idea, in the ideation, as well as the other part. So I don't know exactly what the plan is yet, but you will see those things come forward. They are not lost. Thank you for bringing that forward.
I know that our data is neither concerning or exciting.
Yeah.
But in terms of like that data, what would be exciting?
So I guess I've seen exciting data when congregations have been real outliers, and you're basically not. So so exciting is when the median giving is at 1,500, well, over 1,500. When I see a median over 1,500, then I get excited. I'd like to see everybody's median at 1,500. When it's at below 1,200, so yours is 1,285, I start to get worried. So so your giving needs a little. But I actually, my sense is that is going to happen, that people are paying attention, that you will start to work on building this culture of generosity and shift your practices a little around the ABC and how you do that. And that'll help. That would be my guess. And I would invite everybody to consider, like, what is your capacity and what is your level of commitment, and make a meaningful, something that means something to you, pledge. Does that gets you, right? Yep. Any others? Nope. Let's use the other one.
It might not be on.
So great. Jim Verschuren, I just want to say thank you for yesterday. It really was great. When I saw what you gave us, what our priorities are, what makes us engaged and happy here, and you were talking about social justice, the top two at 41%.
Oh, the things that was that, yeah, the survey?
What struck me was, and I think from the experience I have working with building capacity for immigrant justice in the church, is when you give people something to do, you not only strengthen your own institution, but you bring in other people. And so, to me, doing those first two things on that list is going to address most of the rest of it. Is that too strong a statement?
But good. Thank you. Are you talking about the recommendations? No. I was right the first time. Am I like making you have a little car sickness here? This one. Okay. Yeah, I agree. Yes, it will. Especially in your new t-shirts. Church merch. Yeah. Anything else? It's amazing you're here.
Hi, Deanna Strand. I'm really curious about what a money ministry looks like. Is it an associate program, a new associate program? Is it just culture building? Like, who spearheads that? You know, like, does it include, like, our fundraising efforts, and are they appropriate and efficient and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, good question. I don't want to sort of jump into your own kind of structure and governance process, but I don't see why it wouldn't be an associates thing. I would think that it would contain your fundraising, your legacy giving programming, and your annual budget campaign. And that group, in my dreams, would develop sort of essentially year-round programming that would help develop your culture of generosity. So, yeah, I keep hoping that some congregation somewhere is going to have a small group ministry about money. Anything else? Stacy.
Hi, I just
Hi.
have one question, and I'm not sure it goes to you, but I know that the Visioning Weekend signups were happening and floating around, and I just signed up for something, but I was just wondering, for people who are not here, how will they be able to sign up for a Visioning Weekend?
I think it's going out on Tuesday in some missive.
Exactly. I was going to answer that question. There is a paper sign up that will be downstairs at coffee hours in successive weeks. But Jen will also be sending an email with a Sign Up Genius to sign up digitally, and that will go out several times. And find me if you can. Sure, you can use the paper sign up, but digital sign up will be coming to you shortly.
I just like seeing Reverend Ellen grab that thing. I just want to lift up again how your shared ministry is working so beautifully from my outsider perspective. It's a really wonderful thing. All set? Want to go out in the sunshine? Yeah, I bet you do. Thank you all.